The United Kingdom has just witnessed something no one thought possible. The Supreme Court has stepped in and forced Keir Starmer, the leader of the Labour Party, to resign after a £124,000 corruption scandal exploded into the public eye. What began as whispers of irregularities has erupted into a political earthquake that threatens to tear British democracy apart. This was not just another scandal. This was history unfolding in real time, and the consequences will shake the nation for years to come. Section 1. It all began like a faint murmur in Westminster. A few quiet suspicions about money, a handful of documents, a story that seemed too small to matter. Party officials dismissed it, insisting it was nothing but gossip designed to smear Starmer's reputation. For weeks, the whispers were ignored. But then came the first leak emails hinting at hidden accounts and backroom promises. Suddenly, what looked like ordinary political noise became something darker, something impossible to dismiss. The sum was £124,000. At first, it sounded like just a number, a political donation perhaps, or a misunderstanding. But the more investigators looked, the more the number grew heavy with meaning. It wasn't just money, it was power, it was influence. It was trust being broken. Proof began to surface. Coded emails, strange bank transfers, meetings held in secret. Each piece was another crack in the image of a leader who had promised to restore integrity to British politics. Still, Starmer denied everything. Labour officials claimed it was a conspiracy, a desperate attempt by rivals to destroy him. For a while that story held, but then came the twist no one expected. The case reached the highest court in the land. The Supreme Court would not only review the evidence, but broadcast the proceedings live to the nation. Suddenly, the whole country was watching. The moment the cameras switched on, the scandal stopped being whispers. It became thunder. Millions tuned in as emails were projected on screens, revealing secret deals and promises traded in shadow. Witnesses spoke of meetings where loyalty was bought with money of donations disguised as favours, of influence passed around like currency. Every word cut deeper into Starmer's defence. Every document chipped away at the story he had told the public. Inside the courtroom, the atmosphere was suffocating. Gasps rippled through the chamber as the evidence mounted. The Labour leader's face betrayed what words could not hide. Hesitation, discomfort, fear. Each silence spoke louder than his denials. What had once been political rumour was now undeniable proof. The man who claimed to stand for honesty was being painted as the architect of deception. When the encrypted messages appeared, the courtroom fell silent. Once decrypted, the words revealed a reality darker than anyone had imagined. Conversations about power, loyalty, and money laid bare a system of corruption orchestrated from within. Viewers across Britain watched in disbelief as the truth scrolled across the screens. It was not speculation, it was not rumour. It was proof, broadcast unfiltered for the entire nation to see. And then came the judgment. After hours of testimony and documents, the judges spoke. Their words were sharp and final. They declared Starmer's actions both unethical and unlawful. No excuses, no political escape routes. The Supreme Court made it clear. No one in Britain, no matter how powerful, was above the law. He must resign. The ruling landed like a thunderclap. The courtroom erupted. Reporters rushed to break the news, and across the country, history was being written live on television. Headlines screamed with urgency. Supreme Court orders Keir Starmer to resign. Social media exploded. Hashtags trending within seconds. Starmer scandal, resign now, justice for Britain. It was the moment that shattered the illusion of control. Westminster fell into chaos. Allies scrambled to distance themselves, issuing statements filled with hesitation and fear. Some still tried to defend him, insisting the court was politically motivated. But most saw the writing on the wall. The Labour Party was cracking open from within. Factions turned against each other, MPs whispered of resignations and leadership challenges, and the party once united, under Starmer's leadership, now looked leaderless and broken. But the true fury was outside Parliament. Across the nation, ordinary citizens erupted in anger. In London, Manchester, Birmingham, and beyond, protests broke out. Placards read, "Resign now and no one above the law." Chants of justice, justice, justice filled the streets. This was no longer just a courtroom scandal. It was a national reckoning. People who had trusted Starmer to clean up politics now felt betrayed in the deepest way possible. The fallout from the Supreme Court's ruling was immediate and devastating. Overnight, the Labour Party collapsed into open chaos. A party that once projected strength and unity under Keir Starmer was suddenly leaderless, fractured, and drowning in scandal. The order for him to resign did not simply remove a man from power, It detonated a political time bomb at the very heart of Britain's main opposition. The moment the ruling was read, panic spread through Westminster like wildfire. Senior Labour figures huddled in back rooms, their phones buzzing non-stop as MPs scrambled to calculate their next move. Should they defend the man who had just been condemned by the highest court in the land? Or should they abandon him, desperate to save their own careers before the flames consumed them too? The air was poisonous. Trust vanished. Long-standing alliances crumbled in a matter of hours. What had taken years to build was falling apart in a single night. In public, Labour's leaders tried to appear calm, but the cracks were obvious. Some MPs went on television to defend Starmer, calling the ruling a politically motivated attack meant to destroy the opposition. Their words, however, rang hollow against the tidal wave of evidence. Others broke ranks entirely, standing in front of cameras and demanding his immediate resignation, insisting only new leadership could save the party from total collapse. The split was undeniable, and it was growing wider with every passing hour. The once solid Labour machine had become a battlefield, torn between loyalty to a disgraced leader and the desperate need to survive. But if Westminster was in turmoil, the anger outside Parliament was even more dangerous. Across Britain, protests swelled into the tens of thousands. Crowds gathered in city centres, their chants echoing off government buildings. "No more lies," they shouted. "Clean up politics." Ordinary people, workers, families, students, pensioners, took to the streets not out of apathy but out of outrage. They felt betrayed by a leader who promised integrity but delivered scandal, betrayed by a system that allowed money to move in secret, unchecked and unnoticed. For many, this was not just about one man's fall. This was about the rot running through the heart of politics itself. Social media fed the firestorm. Hashtags like Starmer resigns, Labour in ruins, and the 124k betrayal dominated every platform. Millions of posts dissected each line from the trial, each document shown, each uncomfortable silence caught on camera. Viral clips replayed the moment encrypted messages were revealed, the moment the judges delivered their damning verdict, the moment Starmer sat in silence as his career crumbled. There was no hiding, no rewriting of history. The entire country had seen it live, unfiltered, undeniable. And once the public had seen it, there was no way back. The media seized on the chaos with relentless force. Morning news shows branded it the most explosive political scandal in living memory. Evening panels featured legal experts and former MPs describing it as a once-in-a-century reckoning. Newspapers screamed with dramatic headlines. Fall of a leader, Labour in freefall, Supreme Court brings down Starmer. Every word painted the same picture. Britain's opposition was not just weakened, it was in ruins. For the Conservatives, it was a gift wrapped in scandal. Ministers stood in Parliament delivering cutting speeches, declaring Labour broken, corrupt and unfit to govern. Tory strategists whispered of snap elections, convinced that Labour's implosion would hand them a decisive victory. Smaller parties, too, smelled opportunity. The Liberal Democrats called for sweeping reforms to rebuild trust, while the Greens demanded stricter controls on donations and lobbyists. Even independents gained momentum, portraying themselves as untouched by the corruption that had poisoned the major parties. Inside Labour itself, the leadership question loomed like a storm cloud. With Starmer disgraced, the party had no direction, no clear future. Whispers of potential successors filled the air. Some argued for a return to Labour's left-wing roots, promising to reconnect with the working class and restore the party's soul. Others pushed for a centrist figure, someone who could rebuild credibility with the wider electorate and steady the ship. But none could escape one truth. Whoever took over would inherit a party in ruins, a party at war with itself, a party on the brink of collapse. The scandal forced Labour to face brutal questions. How had £124,000 moved through secret channels without being stopped? Where were the watchdogs meant to prevent this? How many people inside the party knew and said nothing? Each unanswered question fed suspicion. Each suspicion deepened the sense that Labour's problems ran far deeper than Keir Starmer alone. This wasn't the failure of one man. It was the failure of an entire system. And if the system itself